Good evening. So if you're watching this, you've probably seen so far along that the car behind me is a total loss for insurance. So I got rear-ended in it after I spent about 7 months working on it, and it's a goner. So what I want to do is kind of tell you how my experience went through it and actually give you some advice if it ever happens to you. So if an acquaintance of mine owns a body shop, and he deals with insurance all day long, and wanted to give me some advice on how to kind of deal with the insurance company that I was dealing with on totaling my car out. So obviously I wanted to keep the car. There's a lot of parts on it you can't buy for it. And another one, if I want to build another one, which I am, a lot of those parts can be used for that, or they could be sold off to roll into the new budget for the new funding for the new one. So some of the advice he gave me was, one, once you got the car, you need to determine what the value is. Don't let the insurance company tell you what Blue Book is or what their value of it is, because they're typically going to come in low, right? They're going to value, like that is a 1992 Mustang. The value on it, really pretty low. That one was actually a salvage title also, so that can take some account into it. But for me, it actually didn't, and I'm thankful of that. It was actually a rebranded or a branded title out of California, which means it was actually salvaged once. Somebody rebuilt it, got it re-inspected, re-put out there, so it was still considered a good car, but it had a mark on its title. So the friend I had suggested, one, you needed to get the value, the true value of what the car is if you were going to buy one. So of course you go out to places like Craigslist, some of the other places. He suggested don't go to Craigslist unless you can find something that's comparable to that. So the body of mine, it wasn't bad. Yes, there's primer all over it, and that's because I was kind of getting ready to get it ready for skim coat. The interior had been all done, and I had pictures of all that. So he just said, find the value. So I went out there and I found what I thought was a reasonable, comparable comparison of what was out there that I could buy for what mine was. So obviously the insurance came in lower than that, and I wanted to negotiate to that number. And so they said, well, what do you have to prove that you've put work into this vehicle other than a picture that we have? So thankfully I'm on YouTube, obviously. I'm on Instagram, and I had receipts. So I went and found all the receipts I have for everything going into the car, scanned those in, sent it to the insurance company. I actually took pictures off my Instagram, reduced the size of those down, but sent those in of all the work, all the interior coming out, all the welding I did, all the paint work, the trunk, everything, right? So I sent all that in. They actually came back with a pretty reasonable amount. Actually, was higher than I was willing, or I thought was reasonable, I guess. So, yay, insurance company. So after that, I think that was a pretty good experience for it, and I wanted you guys to know that you can do that, but you need to be reasonable also. Don't think that you've spent 200 hours on it like I did, and you're going to get $50 an hour like a mechanic. That's $10,000. That's not going to be reasonable. So have a reasonable amount of mind and go out there like AutoTrader, Craigslist, Facebook, anything where you can find something for sale. Try to get something comparable to yours. Doesn't have to be a Mustang, it could be anything, right? Do that. Keep your receipts. If you don't have Instagram, jump on Instagram, or just keep pictures of your vehicle as you progress. Keep it as you go. That way you have a reminder, and you can always do like I did, turn into an insurance company and prove, hey, I put in 200 hours on this vehicle. So anyway, that's the last piece. The last piece I'll tell you is to check to see if they offer any kind of reimbursement if you don't take a rental car. I brought mine home on a trailer. I had family in the area. Thankfully, I had a truck and trailer. We loaded up, brought it home. Well, because I didn't actually take a rental car for it, they gave me some money, $1 value per day for 2 weeks, and all that's going right back into the car. So that was my experience. Hopefully this is your advice. Hopefully you don't get into something like I did where you drive it for 36 miles, get rear-ended and totaled. But if it does happen to you, hopefully you can see this and take a little bit of advice and know that there is hope. Insurance companies don't always have to be bad things. They can do right by you, but you've got to be ready with the evidence to do right for yourself.